All right, we are recording and we are live. Another roundtable meetup where we get to hang out. I see my man Hollis Dean in the house. I see you guys. Hey, so this is going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be we're learning from this bad boy right here, this book, The Big Boy, Success with Listings. I've got a couple announcements I want to make before we start learning from that book, but I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Can you feel the excitement? You know, Austin, our market that we're in right now is nuts. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's slowed down a little bit, but the price wise, I mean, it has really gone through the roof. So it's bad for some people and, you know, of course, good for others. That's just the way it is. So hopefully your market is doing well. You know, in any market, you can absolutely thrive and you can succeed in any market. It just depends on your game. What game are you in? So, you know, I like to be a little long-winded. So today I'm going to try to rein that in a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So the first thing I wanted to do is I want to share with you guys. I want you guys to see this. So I want to share with you our new masters. Yes, indeed, baby. So these are our new masters that have joined Mentorship Masters within the last 30 days. And let me hold on. Let me put my phone in airplane mode so you won't be hearing all my little beeps. Let me do one other thing real quick. Yeah, so I want to welcome our newest masters. So we've got Rebecca Wooten, and Rebecca is, she's a top agent actually locally in my town, and I've been working on her for about a year. She was a team leader for NB Elite, which has about 500 agents, and she was the Austin team leader for that company. And so that company is 100% commission. And she finally saw the light that here at EXP, we can make more than 100%. So she's here. We've got Ivan Brekalo, who is, Ivan is amazing guy. You know, he's in his 60s or 70s. He'll tell us. I think he's in the 70s. And he's been in Vietnam 4 times. He was a commercial airline pilot. He's been licensed as a realtor since the early 1980s. Okay, so he brings a lot of experience, and he's super excited. Josephina Williams, that's my wife. Josie has joined us officially here at Mentorship Masters. So you can imagine how proud I am. I'm super excited to have her. And she was a bit hesitant. She got her license. Obviously, we want to protect the revenue share. If you, you know, remember, revenue share is willable, but revenue share is actually commission income. So whoever you will it to has to have a real estate license. So she worked on that diligently, got it. And then we went to this event in Mexico, and she got so excited about the opportunity that we have here at EXP. You know, I didn't get her excited. She got excited through the event. And that's why events are so important, guys. You have to attend the events. So she ended up joining. She was going to keep her license inactive. She activated it, and she is building her organization. She's already got her first 1 or 2 people that are coming in. And then Hollis Dean, my man Hollis Dean. Hollis is a unique character because I met Hollis in I met Hollis in 2004, and I ended up selling his house either that same year or within a year or so after I met him. He was my loan officer. He did all my loans, all my mortgage loans. And I remember he called me up to sell his house back in the day. And I was like, Hollis, you know, your dad's a real estate agent. Because Hollis grew up in a real estate family. His dad was a realtor for many, many years, decades and decades. And, you know, his response, I don't know if you remember this, Hollis, but I said, man, your dad's a realtor. You calling me to sell your house? He said, yeah, I know my dad's a realtor, but I want my house sold. And so that was the conversation. That's how I ended up. I mean, we met way before that, but Hollis ran the Knolly team. Later on, he came and joined the Knolly team in 2009. And then he ran the Knolly team That's another funny story we won't go into right now, but he ran the Knolly team till about 2014. So he ran the team during our most profitable years. You know, those years when we were doing capping in 2 weeks, when we're doing 150, 120 deals a year. Hollis was at the helm. He was running the operation. So now he's just joined me. I've been working on him for about a year. I first told him about the EXP opportunity on January 3rd, okay, or maybe it was January 10th of last year. And his big thing was, how can recruiting help people? And when I explained to him about our Mentorship Masters, he got excited. So then we've got Carla Ham, who Melody brought in, Melody Dutton. Thank you, Melody, for bringing Carla Ham. We're going to learn more about her. I don't know her complete story. Malik Watson out of Georgia. And Malik, you know, he's a top producer. He's got a couple of team members that are about to join as well out of Georgia. Karen Mendieta. Okay, now this is another interesting story. So Karen, I met her in about 2004 when I bought my house that's actually next door. Okay, I won't get into that story because, you know, my stories get lengthy, but I live in the house next to the house that I used to live in. And Karen actually lives 2 doors down from me. So I know you guys are going to get a bit jealous because she lives 2 doors down. She's basically an accountant. She's done that for many, many years, spent 6, 8 years in college getting her degree doing that. And now she's ready to become an agent. So that's what she's doing next. Artemis Kassane, he's my personal coach and mentor. He's been my coach for almost 4 years. When he saw the EXP model, he got excited about it, decided to go to school, get his license, and now he's an active realtor right here at Mentorship Masters. We've got Chandlin, and Chandlin came in through Charles Lee. We had a lunch and learn just recently. Chandlin saw the opportunity. She loved what we had to offer, and she joined. She joined like 3 days later. So lunch and learns, guys, very, very important. We've got Melinda. She's in the house. Christy brought her along. I actually got to meet Melinda at a lunch and learn that we did last month. Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful person, woman of God, loves the Lord, and has a lot of, she was a former, and still is, interior designer, and has a beautiful background. So you'll get to meet her at our events and stuff like that. Kayla was brought in by Bailey. Thank you, Bailey, for bringing in Kayla. And we'll get to know more about her as well. And then we've got Tracy Jackson, who joined us earlier this month as well. So we've got a lot of masters coming over, guys. And I got to tell you, if you're not building your organization here at EXP, you are absolutely missing the boat. You know, I was asked for tomorrow, I'm actually going to sit in for the president of EXP. So at EXP, we have 2 presidents, okay? And we've got Dave Conord and Stacy Anand are the 2 presidents. So Stacy couldn't make the meeting tomorrow. So Dave Conord asked me to sit in tomorrow during our leadership meeting for EXP as the co-president. So I'm going to be president for a day. Hey, what's up? I like that. So we'll be on EXP World doing that. But the reason I brought that up is because when Dave Conord looked at our organization, we really are a model for how EXP wants to operate in terms of when you talk about retention, when you create an environment like we're creating right here at Mentorship Masters, this is not a group, guys, this is a family. We pray for each other. In fact, I love that Artemis came up with an idea just this week that how about every day at 9 o'clock, you know, when we start our lead generation time, we just bow our head and we all say a prayer for each other and our businesses, okay? And that means every single mentorship master praying at the very same time. Imagine all those prayers going up into into the heart of God, and we're praying for each other. So we stay together, we pray together, we love each other, and we help each other. So this is a family, guys. So that's our new masters. So proud of you guys. Be sure to bring them in, because one of the things, if you've ever heard a story about somebody joining a company and leaving, like we've had people join EXP, we know that people have joined EXP and left, okay? Just like they join Remax and go back to Keller Williams. It happens in every company. But we have 4 masters right here in our group that formerly were at EXP, left EXP, And when they heard about Mentorship Masters, they came back to EXP. Okay, so that's the thing. You know, EXP is a cloud-based company. So what we provide with Mentorship Masters, we don't just drop them off in the middle of the cloud. You know, we have a place of family and camaraderie. So I see a couple of chats here. I'm going to get to those in a minute. Actually, let me check them out now. Okay, yeah, Pamela says she loves that idea. Okay, so another thing I want to share with you guys, I'm going to share my screen to show you this. Oh, by the way, let me just show you guys, because I know some of you guys were confused last week on how Zoom works, because we haven't really used Zoom a lot on our calls. So using Zoom, when you guys come in, I've got it to where you guys come in with your video camera off, okay? And I do that because some people don't want to be seen, and that's okay, I don't mind. So when you first join, it should join you without your video sharing, okay? Now, if you want to be seen, which I love to see you, just in the very lower left-hand corner, it should be, sometimes that toolbar will move around, but in the left-hand corner of the toolbar, there'll be a video, and you can start video or stop video at any time, okay? So, and then there's a microphone right next to it, and when you click on the microphone, you can unmute yourself and make a comment. So this is in real time, this is live, obviously, so you guys can ask me questions either through the chat, or you can unmute yourself and just straight up butt into what I'm saying, no problem. Okay, so let me share my screen because I want to show you something else that I want you guys to see. So if you ever wonder where I am, you can go straight to knolly.com, and there's a little thing, there's a yellow bar. By the way, every single one of you should be subscribed to my YouTube channel, okay? Why? Because I need more subscribers, that's why. No, but you really should be consuming my content, because these videos that I put out, by the way, I put out at least 3 videos a week, okay? These videos are really, really good for you to share with people. When you find a video that I put out that resonates with you, you share them with other people and say, hey, this is my coach, this is my mentor. He's a best-selling author. You know, have you ever thought about coaching for free with Knolly? Well, you can if you join EXP under me. You know, you join Mentorship Masters. So there's a red bar up here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. But down here in the yellow one, it says, click to find out where Knolly will be next. Where's Knolly? So that's very important for you guys to understand where I'm going to be so that you can come hang out with me, okay? So here we go, February 17th through 20th. We're filming a couple of episodes of Sell This House. It's a TV show that's airing on A&E, on the A&E network. They asked me to, they actually, it really had nothing to do with me. They happened to feature one of my listings. It's a God thing. They featured one of my listings, and then they asked me if I could be featured in another listing. And then the show host really liked the way I, performed, if you will. And so she got me in touch with a producer of House Hunters out of LA. So they just called me yesterday so we can do some more TV shows that way. So that's a lot of fun. So we actually did filming. We started filming on Monday, and we had a bunch of Mentorship Masters out at the filming and actually got them on camera. So we had Charles Lee out there, we had Lucas out there, and a bunch of other friends and masters. We had some future masters out there too. So that was a lot of fun. April 7th and 8th, we're going to be at the Think Up. That's here in Austin. These are the big dates, guys. April 20th through 22nd. You want to be at the shareholders meeting at EXP Shareholders 2020. You want to be there. This is a time when you get to hobnob, meet some of the top people at the company, attend the meetings, learn more about the behind the scenes stuff that we do here at EXP. And then Kevin and Fred are putting on the Next Level Agents Live. That's April 23rd and 25th through 25th. I'm going to be a speaker. There's a ton of speakers there. Mark Willis will be speaking, former president, CEO of Keller Williams International, will be speaking for the very first time ever after leaving Keller Williams. So that's going to be very interesting. And so a lot of us are going to be speaking there. So that's going to be really good. You want to be at that. Then in Scottsdale, Arizona, that's the high-level mastermind. Now, in order to attend that, you have to have at least 10 personals that you've personally sponsored in. So if you've got 10 people that you've sponsored in, you can attend that event. That's going to be super high level. You know, there's a saying that the rich get richer, and it's absolutely true. That's just the way it works, guys. It's biblical. Okay, it's absolutely biblical. So when you see high level events like this, it's like, yeah, well, we get to go play with the big boys. That's another advantage of playing big. If you want to play small and think small, that's definitely an option. But you can play bigger. Listen, we only have 168 hours a week. We all get the same amount of time. Okay, I don't get more than you. Okay, so it's a level playing field. Don't believe for a second that you can't succeed. You know, I grew up in South Central LA. Okay, I grew up. I used to sell crack cocaine. That's what I did for a living. Okay, now I'm leading one of the top real estate companies in the world, organizations. So look, I'm not trying to hear any excuse for failure, because the only excuse that you have for not being successful is right on the other end of the mirror. Okay, if you take a good long look, you'll see the reason why you're not succeeding. Period. Okay, you can't put it on anybody else. So these high level events, remember, you want to play big so you can start playing with the big boys, because you can learn things. Trust me, you can learn things that can make you, one idea can make you 100,000, 250, 500,000, or $1 million. You can toil your whole life and try to make $1 million, or you can make it just like that with one idea. Okay, properly exploited, one great idea that generated while walking on the beach is worth more than 10 lifetimes of hard work. Let me say it again, very good quote. Properly exploited, one good idea that you generate while taking a walk on the beach is worth more than 10 lifetimes of hard work. Okay, a lot of you guys think and have grown up believing the lie that hard work is what leads to success. Absolutely false. I've made the most money ever by doing the least amount of work. Think about it. All I do is I pull out this bad boy right here. It's called an iPhone. I get on it, I press record, and I start jibber jabbing a bunch of gobbledygook. Okay. And it's stuff that I learned. I had to do the work. I had to read the books. I read 1 or 2 books a week. I'm a nerd. So I had to do the work. I had to get it in. But then I just put it out. Hey guys, it's Knolly Williams. Today we're going to learn about this, and that. And then I just push it out there. Let other people, and then that leads to this, leads to that, leads to the other, etc. Okay. And I got to tell you, if I've told you guys this before, always be doing videos, whether you are going to be showing them to the world or not. Why? Because it's great practice. I've been putting out videos consistently for years. Okay. And now that I'm on a TV show, guess what happens? I do a great job because I'm used to being in front of cameras. Okay. It's nothing about me. It's just that I had a lot of experience doing that. Okay. How? With this bad boy right here called an iPhone. Okay. So when the executive producer saw what I had to say and how I had to say it, nothing to do with me. I'm just saying that she called this other lady immediately on her cell phone right in front of me, this other lady with House Hunters from HGTV, and said, you got to get this guy. He's absolutely fantastic. Okay. And that's how it works, guys. You got to be expending and using the God-given talents that you've been given, and then that will make room for greater opportunities. Only a coward, let me say it real clear, only a coward would run from their God-given duty that they've been put in this realm for. Okay. And I've been a coward too long. I'm not trying to be a coward anymore. Now on August 26th through 28th, Grapevine, we've got a great leadership summit. You got to be there, guys. At that event, that's going to be Tony Robbins. It's going to be the keynote speaker. And that's going to be a great event where you're going to be able to learn tons and tons about attraction. You've got to build your organization, guys. I don't want you to be the gal or the guy 2 or 3 years from now that looks back like, man, Knolly, I could have been building right along with you. Yeah, you could have, and you still can. So let's get to it, guys. All right, so that's about the live events. You can find out any live event that I'll be at on my website, knolly.com. Click on that yellow tab. The other one thing I want to talk about before we get into what we're really going to talk about is the golden key to success. Your golden key to success. I want you to think about it. What is your golden key to success? Just think about what is that? Now, you already know that I teach, if you want to be successful, the most important thing you can do is become famous. Okay, you already know that. I teach it all over the place. And, you know, you get it, you got it. Some of you are doing it great, some of you aren't. But your golden key to success is this. Write it down. Consistency. Your golden key to success is consistency. See, being successful in this realm is all about time on the task over time. Okay. I continue, the things that I did when I was 18, 19, 20 are the same things that I continue to do. Okay. Why is it that I've achieved a certain level of success and not even the epoch or the zenith of my success, not even by a stretch? But why do I keep, it's time on the task over time. Okay. It beats hard work every time. Time on the task every time succeeds every time. Okay. Time on the task over time. Very, very important lesson for you. And because a lot of times my high D's that I coach, my high I's, they find a good idea, man, and they're just rolling with it. And they do it for 3 or 4 weeks. And then they're rolling with something else for 3 or 4 weeks. It's just like dieting. Let me say it again. It's just like dieting. Okay. People that gain weight, get small, gain weight, get small. In fact, I was thinking about teaching a class on how to lose weight and keep it off, right? Why? Because I lost weight back in, let me see, it was about 98, maybe 97. And I've never gained it back. Why? Because it's time on the task over time, okay? It's become a lifestyle. So every single day I lead generate from 9 to 11, every day from, well, I say every day, Monday through Thursday. I did it this morning, okay? The reason why sometimes I'm late to these is because I get to my lead generation and I can't stop. You know, from 9 to 11, I'm lead generating. You can count on it. You can bank on it. You know it's going to happen. And it's time on the task over time. So remember, you got to remain consistent to reach the success. Some of you guys, I'll look at what you've done over the year, and you've jumped from 5, 6 different things. Okay, I've been doing the same thing for years, and it can become quite monotonous and boring. But I guarantee you one thing: it definitely is successful. No money problems, baby. You know, I don't want you guys to have money problems. You shouldn't be having them under my tutelage. So that's what I want to share with you today before I really get into the main topic of, you know, I've got a lot of wisdom that the Holy Spirit has gifted me with. And you guys get to have the benefit of that. Why? Because you are in alliance with me. You know, you've actually made a sacrifice to become part of my family. And I appreciate that. And that's why I'm here for you guys. So what I promised to teach you today, and by the way, some of you guys are ready for this, some of you aren't, but it doesn't matter, because anytime I do training like this, it becomes excellent reference material for when you are ready for it. Okay. And the kind of things that you're going to hear today, when you are ready for it, you know, they will ring true for you. So we're going to talk about conducting the phone consultation and setting the listing appointment. We're going to talk about that. Most of it has to do with psychology. Remember last week we talked all about the CMA, creating a CMA. And what I promised you guys is that I would go through this book this year, 2020, and disseminate this information, because it's a lot of information. And sometimes you don't understand the spirit or the psychology behind what I'm writing. Okay. So I want to get into that as well. If you guys have any questions for me, wow, we got a lot of you guys on here. I'm excited that there's a lot of y'all on this call today. So I'm excited about that. But if you have any questions for Uncle Knolly, you can unmute yourself, ask a question, or pop it right there in the chat, and I'll be sure to get to it as well. So what we got here? Ooh, look at that, y'all. That's this is apple, celery, ginger. What else?
I'm supposed to be on that call.
Oh, you're supposed to be on the call. Well, get to it. Get on it. Jump on the call.
Straight up.
I will. I'm finishing my elixir. I'm still drinking my elixir, y'all. I'm telling you, healthy habits. Here's the cool thing about having healthy habits, healthy lifestyle, is that you don't always have to be healthy. Remember, I don't lead generate all the time. I lead generate Monday through Thursday. So what do I do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? It's none of your business. Whatever I want to do, that's what I do. So it's just like, I don't have to be healthy every day. Okay. But when you implement, see, you don't have to have success every day. But if most days are successful, you're going to be successful, period. Okay. You can have a few down days. There's nothing wrong with that. But, and that's why when I say the 2x4, Gary used to teach us to time block, lead generate Monday through Friday from 9 to noon. And a lot of agents just can't handle that. You know, you're too ADD. So that's the reason why I've got it down to a 2x4 that's manageable and still will help you reach your ultimate success. All right, so let's get into this. Conducting the phone consultation. So this is in chapter 12, and this is after you've done the market analysis. So step 6. Remember, this is a 46-step system that I teach. And step 6 is the phone consultation and with the seller prospect and setting the listing appointment. Okay. And this is where I really get into, and I encourage you, if you haven't studied this in a while, begin to study chapter 12 and the things that I write down here, because it's really, really, really important. I talk about the purpose of the phone consultation, which is to ascertain certain questions. And then it's also to build a bond and generate a rapport. Now, the best way that I've found, I got to throw this out there, the best way that I've found to build a rapport with the seller is through a pre-listing video. Okay. If you don't have one already, like Patty Lynn, we talked, she's getting into doing some of the iBuyer stuff. So I feel like she should have a video where she explains iBuyer. Your video should be about 3 to 7 minutes, and you just explain it to people. And the only purpose of the video, now you might think the purpose of the video is to educate, and it is, okay? That is a purpose of it. But deeper than that, the only purpose of the video is to get people comfortable with looking at you. Let me say it again. The ultimate purpose of the video is to get people comfortable with you, okay? So when you meet them, they feel like they've already met you. Why? Because they saw you on video. You can't even understand how much easier it is for me to do what I do than the agent that has never put out video. I mean, it is so easy, guys. Why? Because people have seen me already. They've heard me talk. They know how my voice sounds. They know that I got a little bump in my nose. They know that I got a crazy, funky mustache that's all over the place. They know that I wear an earring, okay? Sometimes, like, if I was literally to show up on a listing appointment and people didn't know that I wore an earring, something small like that, I mean, they might spend 30 minutes just like, man, why's this fool got an earring in? I mean, that might be their whole conversation, but they already know I'm crazy because they saw me on video. They've seen me already, okay? So we got all that stuff out the way, and when I get to hang out with them, it just makes it so much easier, guys. I don't know what it's going to take to drill that into some of you guys, because I don't see many of you doing video. So by the time I get into this, I said, by the time the seller prospect contacts you, you can rest assured that they are pretty serious about selling their home. And perhaps the only question that remains for some of them is whether they're going to hire you or go with someone else. Now, one of the things that you have to understand with sellers is a seller's only going to make one of 3 decisions. Let's talk about this. Very important. They're only going to make one of 3 decisions. They're either not going to sell their house, which is probably only 10% of them. Okay, 90% of them are actually going to sell. So they're either not going to sell, they're going to sell, and they're going to list with you, or they're going to sell and list with someone else. That's it. It's only one of 3 options. And that's why when you go out, you want to make sure that not only do they, if they are going to sell, if they're the 90% that are going to sell, that they actually pick you over someone else. Okay. And the pre-listing video will help with that as well, because you'll feel like a familiar face when they see you. When the seller ultimately contacts you, they had probably thought about the idea of selling for many months. So this is very important to understand this. So when you're dealing with listing, this is very, very important, very big distinction between working with sellers versus working with buyers. So when you work with buyers, you are going to work with some tire kickers. Why? Because when it comes to buying a home, it's kind of fun. Even if I don't want to move for 2 years, why not go look at the market and see what's going on and look at houses? It's a little bit fun to do. I got to tell you, selling your home is not fun. It is not. Okay. You've got to be inconvenienced. You've got to, do stuff to your home that you do not want to do. Why? If you wanted to do it, you would have done it for yourself. Now you're going to do it for some buyer that you don't even care about. Okay. Spending money, painting and doing all this crap. You gotta be, it's an inconvenience. So when a seller calls you to sell, that they're serious. Okay. Because the last thing they want to do is sit down with a salesperson. Now, whether you think of yourself as a salesperson or not, doesn't matter. That's how they see you. And the last thing they want to do is sit down with a salesperson. So, so this is very important that you want to nail it, the first time. We'll talk about the listing appointment later in a later call. Generally speaking, the idea of sitting down with a real estate agent to discuss the sale of their property is not something that most people relish. Okay, so when you get that call to list, that's a money call for sure. Okay. Then I go into some of the psychology, but I want to get into the questions that you need to be asking. And I want to get into the why of these questions. Okay. So there's 8 questions that I list. And the first one is, how did you hear about me? So oftentimes when I'm talking to someone, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to assume that I know how they heard about me. If you're doing really, really good marketing, you'll hear things like I hear, which are, I say, how'd you hear about me? Or how'd you come to know about me? And they're like, man, I don't know. I just know. I mean, everybody knows about you. Okay. When you start hearing stuff like that, you're doing your marketing right. Okay. You're doing it right. If they can't even remember how they heard about you, now you're doing it right, guys. But let's say, for example, you're not at that level, and they say, well, I heard about you from Aunt Joe, Aunt Josie, or I heard about you from, Uncle so-and-so, or I heard about you from a friend or a church member or whatever. Now, if they say, hey, I saw you on Facebook, or they might have saw your sign in the neighborhood, then see, knowing how they heard about you determines how much work you're going to have to do, right? So if you hear somebody say, oh, I've been knowing about you for about 3 years, I've been following you, I know that you do a lot of listings in the area, done. Okay, your work is cut out for you. But if they say something like, well, I just saw your sign in the neighborhood and I thought I'd call you, then you might have a little bit of work to do, because they might not quite be settled on you or not. So that's the number one reason why I want to do. And I've got a script in here, that goes into that particular question. But you want to know, number one, how did you hear about me? I can't tell you how many agents that I've actually listened to, even agents on my own team, that they go through this long conversation with a person, they hang up the phone, and then I ask them, well, how'd they hear about you? I don't know. Wrong. That's the most important question. Okay. There's no other question that's more important than how'd you hear about me? So that's very, very critical. That's the first question I ask people. And it's a very natural question when you get used to asking it, that you say, hey, ring, ring. Hey, this is so-and-so. Hey, and typically I'm calling them back, right? From what I teach you, you're calling them back after you've done your research. So you say, hey, John, by the way, I just got a quick question for you. How'd you hear about me? Very natural question, okay? And it should roll off your tongue at the very first one. Question number 2, what's motivating you to sell? Okay, why are you looking to sell your home? Because here's the thing, you want to know what the motivation of the seller is. There's probably no other more important thing to know in terms of your leverage in getting their home sold than their motivation. Why are they trying to sell? Okay, some of them have a real weak motivation. Like you might hear something like, well, I just want to test the market. I want to see how much money I can get. Okay, is there any other reason? I'm going to keep trying to see if I can get a hook, because if I can get a hook in them, okay, I got to put a little hook in them like that. And once that hook is set, I can reel it in And it might take, over time, I can start reeling it in, but I got to have a hook in them. So I got to know that they want to be closer to family, or that, they're retiring and they're wanting to move over here for this reason, or they got a new job, or whatever that reason is. I want to know what it is. I want to write it down, and I want to remind them of that reason frequently as we have conversations together. So what's motivating them to sell? Now, here's the 3 most common reasons that people sell. Number 1, family related. Number 2, work related. And number 3, housing related. Okay, something around the house or the area or whatever it is. So, and there are hardship reasons why people move. We used to deal with this all the time in doing short sales. That either they had a loss of income, increased expenses, medical problems. I've got one like that right now. Divorce, or absolved relationship, or death in the family. So there's hardship reasons that people move, and then it goes into the top 10 reasons why people actually move. And this is Beacon Moving Company does a survey every year, and they write down these reasons. So it's really important that you know why they're moving, why they're making the decision to move, just so that you can continue to remind them of the end goal. Because I will tell you that along the process, sellers tend to get amnesia. And sometimes you just have to remind them, hey, John, I know you want to be closer over to Aunt Lucy. You mentioned that, she's getting a little older. She needs somebody to look after her. And that's what we're doing with, and this offer will help us do that. Even though it's not quite what you want, let's look at it from that perspective. Now, here's what I want you to think about, and then you move into it, right? So you keep anchoring back into that. David's asking if the Zoom link will be the same every week. Probably. It probably will be. David, just to answer that question for you. So now we might change the Zoom link later. We don't want anybody hijacking in on our calls, but it'll probably remain the same for a while. So that's question number 3. Question number 3 is, was your house previously on the market? Okay. Now, don't take the assumptive that you can look in MLS and see if their house was previously on the market, because yeah, you can do that, but don't take the assumptive that it wasn't. Okay. Because it is possible that their house was on the market before, for sale by owner, or, typically that would be like, yeah, they tried to sell it on their own. Okay. So I always ask that question. And even if I know that their house was on the market before, I want to, rather than me saying, hey, tell me about when your home was on the market before, I'll just say, hey, has your home previously been on the market? And then they say, yeah, this is what happened. And they give you the story, whatever that story is. It's real funny how that's actually a technique that I used to use all the time. Psychology is everywhere, guys. And I used to use a lot of psychology. I grew up with it, my mom being a psychologist by trade. And it was funny because one time when I was in the music business, we were thinking about going with this distributor. Remember, we were doing Christian rap music, and and this other guy was doing gangster rap, but he promised to put us in all these stores and everything like that. So we went by the location, was supposed to be the address of the distributorship in California. I flew out from Texas. I had, one of my business partners with me, and nobody was there. So we're like, okay, where's this guy at? So we called him up. He was like, oh no, we moved over here. And then, so we went over to the new location, and we sat down with him. This was years ago. I was probably like 29 years old. Maybe I was about 27 back then. And we sat down with him. And then we were like, we had this thing that we used to do just to get information from people. We were like, man, we went to the other location, and we just didn't say anything. And the guy was like, well, what happened? I said, well, and we just, and then the guy was like, the guy that we were interviewing to see if they wanted to pick up our product, he was like, well, what'd they tell you? Did they tell you about the FBI? It was like, it was like, man, that wasn't even my fault. Then he started getting into all this conversation about how the FBI raided his operation, that they thought he was doing drugs, and he gave us the whole scoop. The reality was we didn't have any information. We just wanted to see fish a little information out of him. So a lot of times what I'll do, I'll use that same technique with a seller. I say, hey, was your house previously on the market? I already know it was, but I want to see what oh yeah, it was on the market, but that agent, they'll give you the whole story. And then now kind of what things to anchor into, what they like, what they don't like, what they liked about being on the market, what they didn't like about being on the market. And then you can use that information to help you get the listing. Okay. Now, question number 4, what will you do after you sell? This is very, very important, guys. You got to know what their exit strategy is. What's your next move? Okay. If you got to know what their next move is. I just listed a house where the gal, literally, she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, now I've had that before. I'm sure you might have if you do a lot of listings. I said, well, what are you going to do after you move? Well, I'm not sure. I'm like, So then I asked her, a little while later, well, what's the plan? Well, I don't know. Well, it's a hardship. She's ill. She has to sell. And so it's a forced sale. She still to this day doesn't know what she's going to do. And that's a problem. That's a problem. If you need to make sure that they have an exit strategy, a game plan. And if they don't, in this case, we have to because there's a foreclosure sale date, we've got to get the thing done, period. And so she's just going to figure it out. But knowing what they're going to do is very, very, very important. Now, question number 5 is the property occupied? Okay. So this is a question that I always ask over the phone while I'm talking to a person before I actually meet with them. And I just want to know, is that property occupied? If it is occupied, who's in there? Is it a renter? And if we're dealing with a renter, that's a whole nother set of potential issues. And also, if the house is not occupied by them, do they know the current condition of the property? That's another thing we want to know. So question number 6, how soon do you need to sell? And I ask you just like that. Well, Charles, how soon do you need to sell? A lot of times, if you're not adept at scripts, one of the great things about becoming real adept at scripts is that when you become adept at scripts, you'll just say them without, it sounding funny. Because when you first start learning scripts, I get it. They sound really, really quirky and real corny. But I just say something like, hey, well, John, how soon do you need to sell? And I just leave it at that. That's the question. And I just let them answer the question, So you want to know what their time frame is because it's very, very important. Sometimes they won't want to tell you their time frame, but it's important for you to know. By the way, if you guys, if you don't want to be on camera, I think I mentioned this earlier, you can turn off your video. There's a little video camera in the lower left-hand corner. Because I can see some of you guys have taped things in front of your camera, and that's cool. You can do it that way too. Or you can just stop the camera and just turn it off. In the lower left-hand corner, you click on it and you're off camera. So how soon do you need to sell? Very, very important. You want to know what their timing expectations are. Now, if they say something to you like, we're not in a hurry, write it down, but try to get still some time frame. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear you're not in a hurry, Richard. So do we want to sell within the next 30 days, 60 days, or would 90 days be better? And just take it from there. Try to get them. Now, if they want to sell in the next 30 days, that's optimal. That's going to increase the motivation for them, depending on their situation. This question number 7 is a big one that I always ask people. How much do you want to sell for? How much are you looking to get for your home? Now, I used to have trouble asking this question. A lot of people do have trouble asking this because they feel like when they ask this question, it will make them look like less than an expert. Okay. And so I used to have a trouble asking because I'm supposed to be the guy that knows what the home's worth, right? But in reality, I like to know what's in their head. I just like to know. There's nothing worse than going out. Well, there's a few things worse, but one of the worst things you can do is go out on a listing appointment where the home's worth $350, but they want $410. Okay. I would like to know that going into the conversation, not get blindsided with it at the listing appointment. Not that I'm going to challenge. I'm never going to challenge what they say they want. I just want to know what it is because that tells me how much work. Now, if I go in and I know the house is worth $350, and the guy says, "Man, we'd be happy with $350," then I'm good. That's cool. I'm good with that. You know, I know now if he says we really got a lot of money in this house, we wouldn't be happy with anything less than 400,000. Okay. Then I know there's a $50,000 gap between reality and what he wants. Then I know I've got my work cut out for me at the listing appointment. Okay. So that might determine how many comps I put together and the level of the CMA. So like I might do the simple CMA that I taught you guys last week if I know that he's pretty in the ballpark. But if he's way out of the ballpark, then I'm going to take other tools with me to show him pictures of other homes just to bring that into reality. And when it comes to pricing, don't worry about it because I've got 10 scripts in here that deal with an overpriced seller. We'll go through that at a later meetup. But I want to know what they what their thoughts are. And then in here, I've got some scripts on if they just absolutely won't tell you what their pricing is or what their thought of price is. I got a couple scripts that I use. So like, let's say I'm talking to John. I say, hey, John, so how much are you thinking of selling your house for? And they say, well, man, you're the expert. That's why we called you. We don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, John. I am the expert. I'm glad you acknowledge that because you're right. I'm the expert. I've sold a lot of homes and I can get your home sold. I'm looking forward to getting it sold. But what I've noticed, John, is that a lot of the clients that I'm talking to nowadays, people that I talk to get their home sold and the homes that I've sold are pretty knowledgeable about what their neighborhood is doing. They're kind of in the loop. Okay. They're aware. I'll use words like that. You know, John, I've noticed that a lot of people nowadays, not everybody, but a lot of people are pretty aware of what the market's doing. Now, John, how aware are you at what's going on in your neighborhood? Okay. Now, when I put it to him like that, he doesn't want to sound like the guy that's not aware. Well, I'm ignorant. I don't know anything that's going on. He wants to sound, well, I'm pretty aware of what's going on. Well, John, let me ask you this. What have you seen other homes like yours sell for? And then when I throw it to him like that, he'll say, well, the house down the street sold for 430 or whatever it is, right? And, oh, it sold for 430? Man, that sounds great. Is that what you're looking to sell your home for? Oh, no, my home's nicer than that one. Well, what were you thinking? Oh, I'm thinking 450. See, just got the price. Now, it used to be when they absolutely wouldn't tell me like, man, I have no clue what these houses are. Okay, I say, you know what, John, I get it. You have no clue. You're not in the loop and all that. And that's fine because that's what you're hiring me for. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me ask you this, though. If you were to think of a price, just a price pops in your head. Now, I want you to reach up, and I actually have them do this. Reach up and grab that price, pull it down. John, what price did you just pull down? What's that number? See, every seller has a number. Whether they tell you they don't know what the price is, every seller has a number. And by me knowing what their number is, that tells me how much work I'm going to have to do. Now, a lot of times sellers know that their number is unrealistic, and that's why they don't want to tell you what it is. They just don't want to say because they know they're cray-cray, right? But I always like to know the number. I think it's very important to know the number before you get there because pricing is going to be the most important conversation you have with that person when you sit down with them. And if you can't get that piece right, you're not going to get the listing. Okay, so that's very, very important in terms of how much ammunition. It's like if I'm going on a mission, if I'm in the military and I'm going on a mission, I kind of need to know what's going on, like what kind of artillery do I need to bring to the situation? Okay. And I might just bring a handgun or a couple of guns, like that if it's a light situation. But if it's a heavy situation, I'm bringing all the artillery. You see, very, very critical, very important. And a lot of agents are just inexperienced. Okay. And I've seen agents that have been agents for 10, 20 years, and they still make rookie mistakes. And they wonder why they don't get a lot of listings. Getting listings, guys, is all psychology, mostly. And what I do, I go into why it's important to not discuss pricing on the initial phone call. Now, in some cases, you can break the rule if you really, really, really know the person. but I always like to discuss pricing when I have the data in front of the person. Now, just like we're doing right now, I've actually gone to where I can actually do a Zoom call or a recorded call with the data. That's kind of, I can answer questions around that later, but with today's technology, you can actually do a listing appointment just like we're doing right here on Zoom. Super easy to do. You pull up the numbers, but I like to have the numbers in front of them before I have a conversation, okay? It's very, very important for that. What if the seller has unrealistic expectations on pricing? I get into that. And then question number 8 is, what will you do if your house doesn't sell? Okay. So John, what are you going to do if your home doesn't sell? Because I want to know what they're thinking. Okay. I'm going to sell the house. Don't make any mistakes about that. I'm going to sell it. If I'm going to list it, I'm going to sell it. But I still want to know what's in their mind, because it's all psychology. Remember, I'm building a psychological profile. That's all I'm doing with this phone call is I say, hey, John, what are you going to do if the house doesn't sell? Oh, man, we'll just stay here for another couple of years. Okay. So he's not super motivated. Okay. So he's trying it out. He's testing the waters. But if he says something like, well, man, we got to get this home sold. We got to get this done, man. I got a job waiting for me over. That's what I'm wanting to hear. But either way, it's okay. Whatever his answer is, at least I know what his psychological setting is, his mindset. So that's it. That's what I want to talk about on this call. We'll talk about setting the appointment next and some of the things that go around that. But what I wanted to do is see if you guys have any questions. These are the 8 questions that you should be asking when you get on see, a lot of times what happens when you get on a listing interview, see, here, let me back up. A lot of times when somebody calls you to list their home, they think they're interviewing you, but they really don't understand. When they call me, I'm interviewing them, okay? And so I quickly, not necessarily turn the tables on them, but I quickly move things. I take control of the conversation very quickly. So they might get on the phone like, well, man, hey, Knolly, have you sold any homes in this area? You know what, John? I think that's an excellent question, and I can guarantee you that our office has sold a ton of homes in your area. In fact, I'm going to pull those up when we get off the call, and I'm going to share those with you. But the question I have for you is, boom, I go into my first question, okay? Now, once I get them answering my questions, I just continue dialogue, and it's just a conversation. They don't even know that they're going through an interview or questionnaire. I'm just dialoguing with them. Man, that's interesting. Well, have you thought about how much you want to sell for? I like that. Well, wow, that's nice, man. So let's say we get that 250,000 that you want. What are you going to do then? Like, do you have a place to move to? I'm just having a conversation, guys. That if I can get one thing across to you, that's what is most important. Now, when you're asking these kinds of questions to them, you're going to look like a professional, okay? Because they're going to see like, man, you're asking them questions that need to be asked and that they didn't really think of to tell you on the initial interview. And as you're asking these questions, they're going to be like, boy, this person's on top of their game. They know what they're doing. It's just going to feel like, it's just like going to a doctor and then you spend the whole time interviewing the doctor. No, the doctor, you come in and say, hey, doctor, what are your credentials? How many cases have you worked on? Well, I've done a lot of surgeries in this area. I guarantee you I'm going to do a great job with you. But what I want to know is, where's it hurting? Is it hurting here or here? No, it's hurting right here. Well, when you do this, does that happen? No, that happens. Well, lay down. Let me see. See, the doctor will quickly, if they're professional, the doctor will quickly take control of the situation. And next thing you know, all those questions and stuff you came with, you can ask them, right? But he's going to be or she's going to be in control of the situation. And that's how professionals do. And when a person's on the receiving end of that professionalism, they feel like, man, this guy knows what he's doing. I feel comfortable with this person. Why? Because they just got taken control of. And that's what they want. They want somebody to come in, just like a 3-year-old, they might be acting up, but what they really want is to be controlled. They want somebody to come in and take control. They want to feel that safety. And when you come in with these kinds of questions, these specific 8 questions, and you ask them in a conversational way, it's going to command authority. It's going to make them respect you, and it's going to make them want to do what you say to get the home sold. If they have any questions about you being the expert to get the job done, they will completely dissipate when you go into this line of questioning. So that's the reason, that's the psychology behind it. That's why it's so important. Hope this has been good for you guys. Let me see if y'all have any questions for me. And if you have a question that's even off topic, you can ask it right here in the chat. Unmute yourself and ask it, or throw me a thumbs up. Let me know this has been helpful information for you. Hollis is thanking me. Thank you. Wade, awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, overcoming the commission objective. Yeah, so we're going to get to that later. Marcia's asking about how do you overcome the commission objective. You're welcome, David, Sonia. There actually are 3 things that if you've done these 3 things correctly, you absolutely will have no commission objections whatsoever. And let me some of you guys that are, Josie says she's happy to be here. Patty Lynn gives me a big thumbs up. Sonia says, thanks. Thank you, Sonia. So let me just share with you, I absolutely never receive objections to a commission, ever, okay? And I've taught this to you. Let me see if I have an example. Hold on one second. Hold on, guys. Okay, Marcia, I'm gonna actually, I had to run and get my my latest listing agreement here that I just took a listing not too long ago, and I still have the paperwork out. So I wanna share with Marcia and those of you that need to run, you know, it's the top of the hour. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. But I want to hang back and just answer Marcia's question of how do you overcome the commission objection. And by the way, I cover that in this book, by the way. So Marcia, if you don't have this book, remember you can go to, let me show you guys where to go to get this book. But I'm going to hang back and answer your question on that. So every one of you guys has access to the Mentorship Masters portal. And in that portal, this is gold, guys. I don't know anybody else that's doing this at EXP. But basically you have all this content information when you log into the Mentorship Masters Success Portal. Every single coaching call training that I've done is in here, okay? So we've got all the ones from 2019. We've got over 100 hours of coaching and training in here. But you can, if you go to the resources, tools and resources, you'll see all of my books are here. And you click on Success with Listings right there, and you click right here, you can download the PDF. And there it is. You got the book just like that, okay? So all these tools are at your fingertips. Make sure that you guys are taking advantage of them. But I have a whole section in here. It's right here, look, getting your full commission, okay? Getting your full commission. So so all this goes into how I overcome the commission objections. But I'm going to give you 3 things that you should be doing in order to overcome any commission objection. Number 1, you should have your pre-listing package rocking, okay? If you don't have a killer pre-listing package, which is also in the toolkit, you can download my pre-listing package, create your own pre-listing package. Your book, remember your, see if I have, I don't have them right here in front of me, but your, hold on, let me grab it. So if you've got a pre-listing video, so there's 3 things. Number 1 is your complete pre-listing package, okay? Number 1, write that down. That means you've got your complete seller's kit, okay? Pre-listing package that you've put together according to what I teach you guys. Then you've got your book, okay? The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home, right? You can call it whatever you want, but you've got this whole system has already been unlocked for you in the Mentorship Masters portal. And you've got your pre-listing video, okay? So you've got a killer video, a pre-listing package, along with your book, okay? That's the first thing. You've got those tools in place, then you've already educated people on why you're the best. I guarantee you, when I come in here with all my stuff, my tools, they get this the day before it's dropped off, they're not trying to cut my price. They know this guy's the real deal. We're not trying to cut his commission, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to explain to them how commission works, okay? And this is an exercise that I do while I'm right there in front of them. And I tell them, I say, and usually I'll take, you can take like 6 $1 bills or 6 business cards, and I lay them out on the table, okay? And I say, now, John, are you familiar with how commission works? And John will usually say, yeah, I'm kind of familiar with it. Well, just in case, let me just show you real quick. Now, John, this is my commission, and I lay out 6. It's easier. It actually looks better when you lay this on a table, but you lay these out or 6 $1 bills. I say, now this is my 6% commission. Now, John, of this 6%, okay, 1, 2, 3, these 3 are going to go to pay the agent that brings a buyer. Okay, so that leaves me with this. This is what I'm left with. Okay, now this right here, you know, I'm with one of the largest brokerages in North America, fastest growing brokerage in history. And by the way, I'm one of the owners. It's called EXP. And this right here, this third goes to pay EXP, right? Because we're on a split, so the company gets paid, right? So that leaves me with 2%. Now, of this 2%, John, this right here goes to marketing and servicing your listing. Because remember, we talked about the pre-listing package, everything that I'm going to do on my marketing plan. This one goes toward all the marketing that I'm doing in your home. So that takes care of that. And this right here, John, that's my paycheck. And from that, IRS takes about a third. Okay. So when you use that exercise, they can see that there ain't nothing to cut, right? You've just explained to them how commission works. That's the second thing you can do. And the third thing you need to be doing is and this is all stuff I teach, by the way, and it's in the book too, but I want to go over it since Marcia asked, is the third thing you do is that when you have a listing agreement, on your listing agreement, look what mine says, okay? It says under commission, it says we're going to charge you 6% of the sales price or 7% of the sales price or 8% of the sales price, okay? Now, a lot of rookie agents, most agents that I know, even the more seasoned ones, they just do a listing agreement. They just put 6%, whatever they think it's going to be. And then what's the client do? The client comes in and says, no, we'll do it at 5. Well, guess what? I'm giving the client options. Like a client might call me and say, well, what's your commission? You know, John, that's negotiable. And you're not even, if you don't hire me, you're not going to pay anything. So my commission is negotiable. We'll discuss that at the appointment. Well, here's how it's negotiable. I can either do 6% or 7% or 8%. Now, when I'm in front of the client, I say, now, John, I charge either 6% or 7% or 8%. But looking at your house, John, you know, just looking at what I've got to do to get this sold, it's not going to require some of my international marketing that I would do on some of the higher price listings that I take. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to go ahead and charge you my lowest rate. And then what I do, I circle 6%, I initial next to it, and then I cross out the 7 and 8, okay? Because it's called the law of least choice. When people are given a choice, when people are given multiple choices, they'll choose one. But if they're given one choice, like if I come in and say, hey, you know, we got vanilla, you say, well, immediately some people will be like, well, do y'all have chocolate? Fool, I just said we got vanilla. That's what, you know, I said we got vanilla. So when you say 6%, that's all you're giving them, right? What I do is I say we got vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Which one do you want? Okay. So if you do those 3 things, okay, you got your pre-listing package rocking, you got this in play where you explain, and then you explain the listing commission, how it breaks out. If you're doing all three of those things, you won't have people asking you to cut your commission, okay? And if you do have people asking you to cut your commission, it's because you're not doing one or all of those things, period, okay? So that answers that. I love getting into even further discussions on that, but I know we're short on time with that. So Tracy's asking, as a new agent, how do I overcome the fact that I have no experience? You're the only one that knows that. I took 21 listings in my first 74 days in real estate. In fact, Arnold Salis, he just spent the night here at my house. He was at Prudential with me when I first got hired, my very first day in real estate. And he'll tell you that within a week or two, I was taking 3 or 4 listings, sometimes in a week. Okay, I still have my inventory list. So those are just things that you've come up with for yourself of your lack of experience. Okay, when you've got me, guess what? Now you've got, 17, 18 years of experience just piggybacking off me. Now, what I did when I first got in the business is I told people, I said, I've got 15 years sales and marketing, and here's how we're going to get your home sold. Okay. Now, you probably did something before real estate, if I'm guessing right. So just count up all the years you did something else, whether it be customer service, doesn't matter what it was. And you can say, look, I've got 12 years experience helping people get results. And here's what we're going to do with your house. It doesn't mean that you have 12 years experience selling homes. It's irrelevant. But if you've done something before real estate that's any way remotely related, okay, to working with people, working with customers, helping people, whatever it is, then you just fall back on that. Super, super duper easy. Nobody cares how long you've been in the business. They just don't. Okay. So, and the way you overcome the fact that you have no experience is get out of your own head because you're living in fear. That's all that is. Okay. I can outperform, there's agents that are rookies that can outperform me any day of the week because they've got confidence. Okay. They know they can get in there and get the job done. Selling houses is not that difficult, guys. What do you do to get a house sold? That's what I want to know. We got a lot of agents, none of us, but we got a lot of agents with big egos. What do you actually bring to the table to sell a house? Well, I've got experience. I've got this. That's true. Experience comes in handy when you're negotiating a contract, but you really don't do much to sell a house. I got to tell you, guy, I hate to break it to you, but price is what sells homes, not you. Okay. I could have the biggest ego in the world. Oh, Knolly Williams sells homes. I didn't sell nothing. The price sold the house. Okay. Tony DeCello used to have a class where he taught the 3 most important things to get a home sold: price, price, and price. That's it. So it's not like you're really doing something to sell the home. You can keep that illusion if you want to, but it's not true. Let me see. Marcia says, love it. Thank you. I'll go find it. Okay. Yeah, Karen's going to, she says, I wish I could hang out, but I got something I need to do. Yeah, this is just after class, guys. So you guys that need to go can go ahead and leave. If there's any questions that you guys have around any topic, I'd like you to be able to answer them here because it's very rare that you get to talk to me. Yeah, so Sonia says, I mentioned that the EXP stocks are inherited, but you have to have a license to receive them. Will you elaborate? So the stocks, anybody can, it's a publicly traded company. So stocks had nothing to do with what I was talking about. If you had stock in EXP, like I have stock in EXP, I got a lot of stock, getting more every day in EXP. By the way, did you know that every agent that you bring on to EXP, you get stock in the company when they close their first house? And you get stock when they cap, and you get stock on the next year when they close their first house and when they cap again. I mean, it's a great company for stock ownership, but the stocks can go to anybody. You can, that's not a problem. What we're talking about is revenue share. So at EXP, we participate in revenue share. It's not profit share. Okay. Other companies like Keller Williams offer profit share. That means that after I spent all this money to keep the lights on, the air conditioning, and buy all the new desks and these expensive wine tours and whatever else I want to spend money on, if there's a little money left, we'll split that, right? Before the IRS gets it. But what we do at EXP is we take the revenue from the very top and we split that out to the agents. So that's actually a commission. That's a referral income. So guess what? Every single one of you that sells a house, I get a referral fee. Okay. Why do you think Uncle Knolly's teaching you for free? Somebody's got to pay. Remember back in the day, they said there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? So it's just that you don't have to pay for it. So if I was to pass away tonight, okay, which I don't plan to do, then my revenue share is willable to anyone. But in order for them to collect that income, just like for anybody to collect the commission, they have to be licensed. Okay, that's the reason why Josie went out and got her real estate license, because we're on the trajectory of earning 5,000. We're already earning more than 5,000 a month. We're taking that to 10,000. By the end of this year, we want to be at 25,000 a month. By next year, we want to be at 40,000 a month, and then 100,000 a month and beyond. Okay, that's the trajectory of how our group is growing, because I get a referral on every single home that you guys sell, just like you get a referral fee on every home that people you bring on sales. So that is completely willable, but they have to have a license to get it. Now, the cool thing is if you expire, if you pass away, EXP will give the person that you leave it to 1 year to get their license. Let me say it again. They'll have 1 year to go ahead and get their license. But why take them through all that while they're going through the grieving process? That's the reason why Josie went ahead and got hers right now. Okay. Yeah, Lucas says thanks for the explanation on the commission and all that, so that you can get your full commission. He was a rookie before. He said I was a rookie before you showed me that. Now he uses it. Takes away any further discussion. It's like game over when you use those techniques. Yeah. Wade says, I know this was covered before. Remember, this is after class, guys, so if any of you guys need to leave, it's okay. Wade says, I know this was covered before, but what is the easiest video editor? Oh, that's a great question. I'm fixing to become famous. Ooh, I heard that, boy. I got to turn around for that one. Wade said, I'm fixing to become famous in my town for making videos and having a hard time piecing the clips together. So if you're having a hard time with that, Wade, the best, so I'm going to give you a couple of options. You can use Final Cut Pro if you have a Mac. Final Cut Pro is cool. And then there's another one called Adobe Premiere. Okay, that's really high level. If you have a Mac, you can also use iMovie. Okay, iMovie. And then the one that I'm going to recommend to you is one called Filmora. Filmora. Let me show it to you real quick. This is actually the one that my video editor, you look at all my videos, this is what he uses. Okay, it's called Filmora. There it is, Filmora. And it's actually free. There's a free version of it, and then there's a paid, it's a free download. And they do have a free version. I'm not 100% sure how it works with the paid version, whatever. But this is the program that my video editor uses. And I had doubts about it, to be honest with you, because I've always used Final Cut Pro, but he swears by it. So that's that. So cool. Hey guys, that's all the questions we have, unless somebody's waiting to talk to me. I don't hear anybody. All right. Hey, I hope this has been helpful. I love you guys. I do this just for you because I want you to succeed. I'm not going to hold back any of my secrets. I'm going to give it all. All right, y'all. See you on the next one. God bless you. Adios.